Hello. Today we are going to be talking about apples and donuts. And I'm going to use these to demonstrate to you how incredible your body and your digestive system actually is. So, we live in an era of food opinions and options. You got brown sugar versus coconut sugar. You've got beef tallow and dairy butter, white sugar versus whole fruit versus dried fruit versus like a million other fruit options, right? And while some of these distinctions matter a lot in certain contexts, a lot of the panic that people feel around nutrition comes from not understanding one fundamental truth, and that is your digestive system is one of the most amazing, intelligent processing machines ever built. So let's look under the hood, specifically with carbs and sugar, since I guess people are still very freaked out about this. Every carbohydrate you eat, a glazed donut, a bowl of rice, an apple, has one job from your body's perspective: become glucose. So this is our universal energy currency. It's what your brain runs on, it's what your muscles will burn, and what your 30 trillion cells are waiting for, and hopefully that you give to them. From those 30 trillion cells, your digestive system, a sophisticated disassembly line, is birthed. It takes whatever you put into your mouth and it breaks it down into the most basic building blocks: sugars into glucose, proteins into amino acids, and fats into fatty acids. It does not care that you spent $70 on Manuka honey from upstate farm millennial slop shop or $2 on white sugar from Costco. Either way, it's turning into glucose. Now, before you raise your pitchforks, I am not saying that honey and white sugar and apples are the same thing. Do not twist my words. And for people with actual diabetes who actually need to wear a glucose monitor, they may need to make more specific choices depending on their situation. However, I'm just going to guess based on statistical averages that you, viewer, are not necessarily this medically diagnosed audience that I'm speaking about. Also, if it's your first time here, my name is Ash. I am a certified strength and conditioning specialist of 8 years, and I help athletes and clients with their body recomposition goals in a way that prioritizes their sanity. That's the most important part. As I mentioned today, we're going to be using a Dunkin' Donuts glazed donut. This is my favorite donut because it's pink. And then we are also going to use a Fuji apple, which is my favorite apple because it's sweet. So let's start with the donut. Your mouth has saliva, and your saliva contains an enzyme called amylase. And this amylase immediately begins breaking down donut starch into simpler sugars. The sugars in a glazed donut are primarily sucrose, from the glaze, lovely pink glaze, and added sugar and maltose, which is produced by the refined flour as you start to break it down. There's no meaningful fiber, no fructose, and nothing to really slow the breaking down of sugars. So by the time it hits your small intestines, there's almost nothing left to continue to digest, and therefore it just kind of whizzes through, right? Hence, fast carbohydrate. So then glucose will flood your bloodstream, your pancreas will release a surge of insulin, and you will feel a big, big hit of energy followed by probably a drop pretty quickly. And by the way, if you do buy $70 Manuka honey, that is also considered a fast carbohydrate. So far with our donut, we have sucrose and we have maltose, and we don't have fiber. No fiber, and we also don't have fructose. Okay, so that's our donut. And we have our Fuji apple. And with our Fuji apple, we are getting a mixture of fructose, glucose, and sucrose. So this has a more complex sugar profile right from the start. But more importantly, these sugars are packaged with fiber, and specifically that's soluble fiber like pectin. And this is going to form a gel in your digestive tract that physically slows the sugar absorption into the bloodstream. Sucrose, fructose, and has fiber. Okay, so there's a lot of research that confirms that dietary fiber will significantly blunt the postprandial, that's after eating, glucose response, leading to a steadier insulin release and more sustained energy. So you typically will feel physically better after eating an apple. Now, the final destination of these two guys is the same, but the ride to get to that destination into your bloodstream are quite different. By the way, if you struggle with guilt after eating a donut, but you don't feel any type of way after eating an apple, you have a lack of food freedom. You are also a great candidate for FFF, which is Food Freedom Foundations. I built this paid 6-week course specifically for people to free themselves of the mental anguish that follows eating pastries, ice creams, pastas, and the like. By freeing your headspace, you are also significantly more likely to actually hit your body composition goals because you will be a happier human being. And this is coming out in July of 2026. All right, now let's talk calories, which is ultimately what will help determine our overall body weight. If we want to solve for 270 calories, we need about 520 grams of apples. 520 grams of apples is about these 3 apples. And this, if I can hold this, is equivalent to 1 glazed donut. So if I ate 3 apples on top of my usual intake every single day for 7 days straight, I would actually end up gaining the same amount of body weight as I would if I'd eaten a single donut on top of my usual intake for 7 days straight. Because when calories are equated for, regardless of the food source, regardless of whether society has labeled one toxic and non toxic, the weight gain will be the same. Both of those surpluses equate to about 3,500 calories, which is about a pound of body fat. One more time for those in the back. When calories are equated for, regardless of the food source, regardless if I have 3 apples or one cute little pink donut, the weight gain will be the same. I just dropped my R. Remember, your body ultimately sees food as energy. Calories are energy. Those two are synonymous with each other. While the metabolic pathways differ, like our apple and our donut's very journeys, they will converge to the same outcome. That is the energy that can be either used or stored. And this is what a lot of diet culture gets wrong. And it's also the reason why capitalism has managed to produce like 20 billion versions of the same fucking dried fruit and the same granola. It's like all the same thing with different labeling and different packages. People treat calories from donuts as toxic and calories from fruit as free, which is crazy because this definitely has calories. Probably, maybe I would say this one is over 60 or 70-ish. Remember, your body does not have a separate drawer for like virtuous calories. Food should not be moral. So, to go back to our initial question of brown sugar or coconut sugar, I mean, it doesn't really matter if you don't have like a strong taste preference. I definitely prefer the taste of white sugar over coconut sugar any day. Coconut sugar has like a really strong flavor, and then it's going to have different purposes, right? If I'm going to bake something, I should not be baking with honey necessarily if I don't want more liquid in my baked good. So, everything has its own purpose. I'm not going to go into a tangent in baking. The differences between all of these types of sugars and all of these different types of foods are real, but they're often marginal and they matter far less than the bigger picture of your overall diet. The message of this video is not eat whatever you want, it's all the same. It's actually the opposite. Your body is so capable that you actually don't need to be paralyzed by every micro decision. You understand how your body works, you make mostly solid choices, and trust your fine tuned, emotionally intelligent, and actually intelligent processing machine. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the next one.